Looks like the attendees are filling in. We have our devices recording. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Billy. Welcome everyone to the March 9th, 2022 California Coastal Commission. Ms. Miller, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Amendzada,
Here.
Commissioner Bochco,
Here.
Commissioner Escalante,
Here.
Commissioner Groom,
Present.
Commissioner Harmon,
Here.
Commissioner Hart,
Here.
Commissioner Ketchum,
Here.
Commissioner Kunkel, Commissioner Aguirre,
Right here.
Commissioner Rice,
Here.
Commissioner Turnbull Sanders,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Chair Brownsy,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. First, I will read the tribal acknowledgement. Next, we're going to move to general public comment. This is a time period during which members of the public can share their concerns with the commission. Members of the public will have up to 2 minutes to speak.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to call the group first, the Sierra Club Seal Society group. I have Paul Emis, followed by Jonathan Harris, followed by Tanya Popov. If you are one of those 3 people, please raise your hand now. Okay, Paul Emis, you should be able to speak now. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the record.
This is Paul Emis. I made a video I would like to please play now. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I do have quite a few hands raised, so I'm just going to unmute and ask for your name one at a time. And if you are part of this group, we will let you present. I have unmuted one speaker. Please state your name for the record.
This is Robin Davidoff. However, I'm the last speaker of the group. I believe Jonathan is the next speaker, followed by Tanya.
Okay, somehow you've all received a link that is not your own names. So unless it's absolutely crucial for you all to go in a specific order, it's going to be very difficult for us to get you all in a specific order. Is there any way we can just get you to speak one at a time?
Not
in
really.
the order that I call?
No, if you could do Jonathan followed by Tanya.
Okay, I'm going to lower all hands and call you one at a time then. And please only raise your hand if your name is the name that I call. Jonathan Harrison, please raise your hand. I'm going to lower all hands again. I see 3 hands raised. Please only raise your hand if your name is Jonathan Harrison. Jonathan Harrison, if you were the first person to raise your hand, then you are able to speak now. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the record if your name is Jonathan Harrison.
Yes, this is Jonathan Harrison. I do have a PowerPoint. I do have slides. Thank you. I'm Jonathan Harrison, a resident of La Jolla and Seal Society volunteer. It's very hard to follow those very disturbing images, but thank you for this opportunity to speak. I want to update you on the current situation at the Sea Lion Rookery at Boomer Beach in Point La Jolla. Next slide, please. Unfortunately, the crisis has become even more urgent. Tourists are no longer deferring their travel, and there is an unprecedented crush of visitors who want to experience the sea lions in their natural habitat. Second, the aggressive and territorial male sea lion bulls who can weigh in at 800 pounds or more have returned. Third, the city of San Diego is missing in action and continues to abdicate their role in controlling this crush of visitors. The lack of city presence has led to a Wild West atmosphere. Signs have been vandalized on a near daily basis. The lack of borders and fencing at the Rookery has left docents pleading with visitors to give the sea lion pups space to breathe and grow. Next slide, please. Well, what's in the forecast? More visitors. The just released 2022 TripAdvisor list of best beaches in the U.S. has La Jolla at number 9. They call it a great place to see lounging sea lions, and marine mammals are listed as the #1 thing to see in La Jolla. Next slide, please. The TripAdvisor website highlights pictures of sea lions in the wild with a note stressing animal welfare and tourism. I can tell you from personal experience that 98% of visitors, including locals, are highly appreciative when we ask people to avoid disturbing the sea lion moms and pups. For a local minority, this has become a personal affront, and the lack of rangers has emboldened some to act out against sea lion protection in a hostile and aggressive manner. Next slide, please. The only way to protect this environmentally sensitive habitat and its protected marine mammals is to physically separate visitors from the sea lions year-round. We agree with responsible ocean access advocates on several important points. One, tourists are at the root of most of the dangerous sea lion encounters. Second, we all agree that a robust ranger presence is essential to having a fun experience for tourists, convenient entry for ocean users, and a safe environment for marine mammals, especially mother sea lions and their pups. But the next speakers will provide you more details on these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next, we have Tanya Popov. I have allowed all people with their hands raised to speak. So if you are Tanya Popov, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record. Okay, I'm not hearing anything from a Tanya Popov. Next will be Nathan Brenner. Nathan Brenner, if you are in this list.
Yes, this is Nathan Brenner. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Nathan Brenner here. I'm a volunteer docent with the Sierra Club Seal Society. I do have thank you. Today, I wish to draw attention to the statement made in a recent California Coastal Commission strategic plan. Protecting and restoring sensitive coastal resources is one of the highest priorities of the Commission. The Commission implements strong Coastal Act policies to protect and restore environmentally sensitive habitats, wetlands, and marine environment. All coastal resources are important, and when faced with a need to address potential impacts to these resources under the Coastal Act, the Commission does so. The Sierra Club Seal Society is requesting this honorable commission follow through on its pledge by taking action to protect the coastal resources at Point La Jolla and the Boomers Beach Sea Lion Rookery. As you can see, the first slide shows the Boomers Beach area as it appears in summer. The blue line is the Boomers Beach dedicated water access point in the La Jolla Coastal Plan. Next slide. The left side shows the top view where the dark blue line is the dedicated coastal access. The light blue line is where most tourists walk down the cliffs and trample on the sensitive habitat. The right slide, you can see people making their own pathways And we get up to 300 visitors an hour, destroying the sensitive coastal habitat, and it's killing the vegetation which holds the coastal bluffs in place. Next slide. As you can see, without a total closure, somebody's going to get hurt. This child in the foreground is not using the dedicated coastal access path, but is making his own path. And in the background, you see an 800-pound bull sea lion that is using the coastal access trail. Next slide. This is what the Boomers Beach area looks like during the winter time. As you can see, this is not a beach where people and the final slide shows what the area could look like with a total closure. So we urge the Coastal Commission to close the entire area from May 1st to October 31st and preferably year round. Thank you very much and I appreciate your time.
Next, I'm going to list off the rest of the names in this group. Next, we have Elena Tillman, Carol Archibald, Carol Toy, Ellen Shively, and finally Robin Davidoff. All hands raised should be allowed to speak. So Elena Tillman, you're next. Please unmute yourself and state your name.
Good morning. My name is Elena Tillman, and I also have a slide deck. Thank you. So I'll be piggybacking off of Mr. Brenner to discuss problems of shared use. Firstly, I'm all for compromises, but I want to ensure that they make good sense or in everyone's best interest as well. So second slide, please. These are an overhead. Oh, yeah, the last slide and this slide is an overhead indicating the coastal access trail and the path most tourists take when they hop over the wall. The problem is if sea lions are present during pupping season, nobody should be accessing the area. Unfortunately, even the divers. As we know, it is monkey see, monkey do. Well-intended watermen, which most are, I think, can attract tourists down, and within minutes you have tourists, sometimes hundreds, streaming down in droves and horribly violating the Marine Mammal Protection Act. Next slide, please. While many watermen respect the wildlife and the pups, those that have not have egregiously violated the MMPA. As a reminder, the MMPA suggests staying at least 50 feet away so as not to risk a harassment violation under it. Next slide. For this, among many other reasons demonstrated by my colleagues, California rookeries are closed to the public. I should say other California rookeries, including San Simeon or Piedras Blancas, Point Mugu, rookeries up in Monterey and San Francisco. We are the only ones that don't. The others assert that there shall be no one accessing during pupping season. As an aside, they're closed year round, but of course we're really looking at only pupping season. The La Jolla Rookery closure is a small area, again, less than 100 yards with alternative beach access spots at the Cove and the Shell Beach, which is really just a short walking distance away from Boomer. Spear fishermen can enter at the Cove or Shell Beach even. So in conclusion, the entire area must be closed during pupping season and really cannot support access under federal law. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Elena. Next, we have Carol Archibald, followed by Carol Toy, and then Ellen Shively and Robin Davidoff. Carol Archibald, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record if you are in the meeting here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so this has to do with the CDP closure dates, as they won't meet the requirements and purpose of the closure, which is to protect sea lion moms and pups from human interaction, align with the MMPA, and ensure public safety. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. The proposed CDP application closure dates are May 25th to September 15th. This is what's been proposed. These dates are unacceptable. They don't meet the biological needs of the animals. Sea lion experts report that sea lion birthing in San Diego occurs from May 15th through July. I can't see it because of my name, my slide. And that is coming from an expert, a NOAA expert. And that sea lion seasonal closure is from May 1st to October 31st. It's been determined by the experts. By May 25th, females are in their last months of pregnancy and some have already given birth. In fact, in 2021, verified birthing records with an open beach showed 7 stillborn pups delivered late April to mid-May and 6 pups born the last week in May. Next slide, please. Next slide. The biological needs dictate minimum closure dates, which as recommended are May 1st to October 31st. The harbor seal line rookery closes for 5 months and allows the pregnant seals 6 weeks rest before giving birth. The CDP proposes a 3 to 3/4 month closure for sea lions. May 1st as a start date, which is recommended, allows pregnant mothers 2 weeks rest before birthing. Seal pups swim at birth. Sea lion pups can't swim well for 3 to 4 months, are subject to drowning. Okay, last slide, please. Can you just throw up the last slide? Okay, thank you. So basically, if the May 1st to October 31st.
Your time is up. We have to move on to the next speaker. Next, we have Carol Toy. Carol Toy, if you are in the meeting, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record before you present. Okay, I'm not seeing Carol Toy. Ellen Shively, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record. Looks like I have 2 more with their hand raised. I'm just going to allow them to speak. If Carol Toy or Ellen Shively.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, what's your name?
Carol Toy.
Okay, please begin.
Thank you. I have a slideshow. Thank you very much. My name's Carol Toy. I'm also from the Sierra Club Seal Society. I'd like to talk to you about the boundaries of the closure area and how they've been reduced many times. This shows the original emergency closure boundary in red last summer. The blue area shows the area used by sea lions to haul out, birth, nurse, and defend their territories. Next slide, please. The emergency closure boundary was then amended at the last moment in the line shown in green to allow ocean access by using the blue southern trail that you've seen before. Then the first CDP submitted to the CCC recently showed a further reduced boundary shown in orange. And a few weeks later, this was amended to a yellow line shown here, reducing the area even further. This was to allow for recreational ocean access. Next slide, please. This is what it looks like from the ocean. This shows how the closure area has been continuously shortened. 40% of the births take place in this area, and you can see at least 40 sea lions on the beach. This whole area would not be included in the CDP closure as it stands. Next slide, please. So these are the questions that we would like to ask. Why constantly reduce the southern boundary when there is a large presence of sea lions on Boomer Beach? Why create a large ocean access for the recreational activities when there is already a southern trail for this purpose? So the solution, we feel, is to go back to the emergency closure boundary, which worked well. Next slide, please. But what about the rest of the year when the area is open? In this photo, which I've shown before, you can see there are 151 people in the area below this wall. 75 of them are standing less than 50 feet from sea lions who cling to the edge of the rocks. The NOAA guideline is 50 yards, which means everyone should be behind the wall. The simplest solution is to eliminate public access to the stairs here on the left. Research shows this results in a 98% reduction in people entering the area. And we've spoken to NOAA, who have said that they support this type of re-engineering to reduce human interaction with sea lions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. Next, we have Ellen Shively, and finally for this group, Robin Davidoff. Ellen, please unmute yourself and begin speaking. State your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Ellen Shively. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm Ellen Shively, a Seal Society docent. Our role is to educate visitors about the habitat of the seals and sea lions and safe distancing needed for their protection. Docents should not be concerned with crowd control because without authority, We often need rangers or police when the situation is not safe. I love volunteering here. Next slide, please. Because most visitors appreciate the stories we tell and the tips we give about viewing the sea lions safely, but there are those who oppose the proposed pupping season closure completely and commit acts of vandalism and even try to intimidate us. Here are just some examples. Next slide, please. 5 A-frame NOAA posters reading "No selfies with sea lions" have been stolen. Then a city sign reading "Stay back, sea lion birthing area" was detached from the access railing and found in the nearby marine reserve. Next slide, please. The CCC notice of pending permits disappeared from the area multiple times. We know because we met the person replacing them. Vandals added a lock requiring a key to the city's combination lock used to secure the A-frame when we leave the Rookery. Why? To hide the cautionary message. Next slide, please. The opposition will go to virtually great lengths to undermine our program. They themselves disregard the cautionary signs regularly, and disturbing the animals, encourage unwittingly others to follow their lead. They mock us and interrupt our dialogue with visitors. Recently, they enlisted a news reporter to view our reactions to incidences they staged as a setup to discredit us. This situation should be resolved.
Next, we have Robin Davidoff. Robin, please unmute yourself and begin your testimony.
I also have a presentation. Thank you. I'm Robin Davidoff with the Sierra Club Seal Society. As you've just heard, the city of San Diego submitted a CDP for the seasonal closure of the sea lion rookery at Point La Jolla and Boomer Beach. Sea lions use all of Point La Jolla and Boomer Beach to birth, nurse, rest, and mate. The sea lion rookery of about 200 is the only one on the west coast of California, and it fits within the Coastal Act of preserving marine resources. Visiting the sea lions is ranked as the #1 thing to do in San Diego by TripAdvisor and brings over 300 people per hour to see them in their natural habitat. Keeping people apart from sea lions enhances public safety and aligns with the MMPA. Next slide, please. With the limited and no ranger presence or fences and barriers, visitors touch, pet, feed the sea lions. Just last week, someone let a dog off leash to fight a sea lion and posted it on a San Diego Instagram page. Next slide. The CDP boundaries, as you've heard, and closure dates are unsatisfactory. The proposed closure dates are too short and don't align with the sea lion experts' published paper stating that pupping season starts mid-May. The proposed closure dates of May 25th means that sea lion pups are born with people standing over them, throwing sand and taking selfies, and sometimes picking them up. The minimum closure dates must start May 1st to meet the biological needs of the moms and allow them to rest without 300 people per hour coming to visit them. The proposed boundaries shrink the closure area used during the temporary closure by over half and allow ocean access users the right to go right through a rookery. This is the area pups need to get to higher ground during high tide and an area moms use to nurse their pups. At a minimum, the temporary closure boundary must be reinstated. It should be noted that 17 other rookeries in California are closed to the public. Next slide, please. Point La Jolla and Boomer Beach has a natural wall and boardwalk that provides separation of people and sea lions. A year-round closure and ranger program is necessary to keep people and sea lions apart. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to now call names 3 at a time. I'm going to lower. Okay, please unmute yourself and state your name for the record. Volker Hohn.
Yes, my name is Volker Hohen. I am with the Watermen's Alliance and the San Diego Freedivers, speaking on behalf of some other ocean access advocates. We are concerned about the pending closure of Point La Jolla in La Jolla, California. Our primary concern is we are being harassed by seal docents, and also the sea lions are not at Point La Jolla, they are in the cove. So you're moving the wrong area. We are also concerned about seal feces. It has made Point La Jolla into a toxic environment. It's a biohazard. We also ask that the Coastal Commission, when they're considering their closure, to have the seal docents vetted, as in they should be bonded because they are representing the state in a slippery, hazardous environment. So they expose the state to significant risk. We would like to retain our historic access that we've been using since 1933 to transit through this area. Thank you.
I see one person unmuted. What is your name?
Tanya Popov, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tanya. Please begin.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. I'm Tanya Popov. I'm a Seal Society docent. We just have a 2-minute overview video of the Rookery here for you. Please play the video. Thank you. Sorry about the audio.
The children's pool is the harbor seal birthing area. Shell Beach is where people go to swim and view tide pools. Boomer Beach is the beginning of the Sea Lion Rookery, which extends north through Point La Jolla. These areas are essential for sea lions to mate, birth, and raise their newborn pups.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is Larry Asakawa. Have you unmuted me?
Yes, thank you, Larry. Please begin your testimony.
Oh, very good. I didn't see the button to unmute myself. Thank you for the opportunity to address the commission this morning. I'd like to briefly introduce myself and make a comment about the proposed Point La Jolla Boomer Beach seasonal closure. Early in my professional life, I was a research diver for Scripps Institute of Oceanography, a staff marine biologist for the SVSU Foundation, consultant for neutral mariculture, and a project manager for Lockheed Oceanographic Division. I also learned to surf, body surf, and spearfish in La Jolla, and I still spend a lot of time in Ellen Browning Scripps Park, where La Jolla Cove, Boomer Beach, and Point La Jolla are located. Can I have Asakawa slide 1, please? And if you could tell me when that is up. Oh, very good. Thank you.
It's up. It's been up since you started.
Okay. My main point today is to urge the California Coastal Commission and the city of San Diego to recognize that the low seat wall, where all of the sea lion visitors visit, and borders Point La Jolla, that the seat wall was designed by Richard Requa, the renowned San Diego architect who influenced and inspired much of the iconic Spanish Revival architecture in San Diego and in La Jolla, including the Bishop's School, the Athenaeum, the La Jolla Recreation Center, the original Scripps Marine Lab, and Old Globe Theater. He was also the master architect for the 1930s California Pacific International Exposition in Balboa Park. As I understand, I'm scrolling down a little bit, the current draft coastal development plan for Point La Jolla asks for additional signage, but the stenciled red warning signs on the Requa wall have proved to be ineffective. That's according to the Seal Society. And anyone can see that you don't need more signs. And the crowds are going to do what they want. But the stenciled red warning signs, I'll finish up here in a second. The concrete trash receptacles have been ineffective and destroy this historic character of Scripps Park. Hiring full-time rangers for crowd control during and after seasonal closure should allow the area to have fewer signs rather than more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, for coordinating that. Let's bring it back. Do we have commissioner questions? Commissioner Amanzada and then Commissioner Bochco.
Yes, thank you. I've said this before, but I found the evidence of the seal harassment quite disturbing, and I really want to understand at this meeting today what can be done by our commission to change that status for the pups as we are going into, I believe, pupping season. The commenters outlined a number of different suggested mechanisms of things we can do in terms of, putting rope up, changing the dates of the season, communicating with our fellow agencies to shore up enforcement, possibly changing the terms of the CDP. But I've been to that area myself, and I've seen this, and I've been one of the people pleading with families and tourists and visitors to please stay away, because we know it can be deathly for the animals. I just feel like in the face of the evidence that we just saw, we really have to step up action. And I look forward to hearing from staff as to what the process for that might be. But not only the process, but real action that we can take either at this meeting or before the next meeting. So I guess I'm a little bit short in the way of suggestions, but I want to understand, what are the best things that we can do to really make progress quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Amanzada. Before I give it to staff, I think Commissioner Bochco also has some questions or comments, and then if you could respond, Mr. Ainsworth and Mr. Schwang, to both Commissioner Amanzada and Commissioner Bochco's comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I know as well as staff how long this situation has gone. And I know in the past, we've done many things, including getting a court order, if I recall rightly, many years ago for the closure during pupping season. So Jack, could you give the commission a very brief historical point of view on what we have done, we're able to do under the law, and then perhaps now that we have achieved other perhaps administrative ways of dealing with these kind of problems, maybe there's something you can suggest, because I agree with Commissioner Amanzada, it's just time now, just time to stop this. It's shocking that people haven't been hurt so far, being that close and disruptive to wildlife. And I, of course, personally am more concerned about the wildlife, but I would hate to see anyone get hurt. So could you give us a little help here?
Yes, happy to do that. And to the chair, yes, this has been an ongoing, terrible problem out there. And we've issued emergency permits in the past for some of these seasonal closures. We are currently and have been working with the city on moving forward with a new seasonal closure that would be the vehicle by which would be a CDP, which we incorporate all of these different measures to stop this ongoing harassment out there. And I'll let in just a minute Carl respond to where we're at with that. But I believe that we're on the cusp. If it hasn't been submitted, that it's just about to be submitted to us. And I think that's the appropriate vehicle by which we can make this to move forward and make sure we have those protections that are so needed there for the sea lions and also the harbor seals like we've done in the past. Carl, I'm going to turn it over to you to add more.
Sure, thank you, Jack. So we actually do have that application from the city of San Diego for the closure. And at this point, we are on track to put that on the commission's April agenda. So we will be bringing that forward next month. At least that's what we're anticipating at this point. And, of course, part of that discussion is going to include some of the things that the, Seal Society was suggesting about areas that should be closed. And of course, we also need to take into consideration what the access advocates are asking for as well. So that'll be next month.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move to Commissioner Hart.
Thank you so much. I just have a couple of questions, and it sounds like we're going to be addressing this next month, which is the appropriate time. And I'm hoping that when it does come back, that is it the city of San Diego, Mr. Schwing?
Yes, it's the city of San Diego.
That I'm hoping that they'll give us a report on what their plan is for enforcement. For example, will they have rangers there daily? I just know that if they were to have rangers there for a month or two, or significant period of time, it could probably transition then to a volunteer corps that could then call on the rangers if there's incidents. But I think once you potentially close the stairs, establish the area, have rangers there, it sounds like they're going to have to be there all the time, at least for a period of time. So I'm hoping we're going to hear about that from the city next month. And I'm also wondering if Fish and Wildlife have been involved on this at all. Mr. Schwing or
Well, I know we've been in communication with the wildlife agencies, in particular marine fisheries, and they've indicated some issue with staffing on their part, that they simply don't have the the staffing to go out and address these issues. They really are relying on the city to provide that. And we do understand that the city has been in the process of hiring rangers. I'm not sure the status of that, if that's occurred yet, or if that's still in the works.
And it's also something maybe that the Coastal Conservancy could consider for an educational grant, because it goes hand in hand, of course, the restriction of access and explaining to the public about sea lions, about what they're, why it's so important, and just overall education. I know that happens here in Sonoma County at where the Russian River outflow is. There's seal pupping. There's always volunteers there educating the public and trying to keep the public away. Obviously, it's not this kind of massive amount of people, and that's something that's going to require rangers. So thank you so much for your work on this. And I think it's good for the commission to be able to reassure the public speakers today that we are taking this up next month, that all of us, I'm sure, on the commission are intent on protection of wildlife, and that this doesn't continue.
Thank you, Commissioner Hart. Commissioner Bochco, did you have additional comments?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Just very quickly, I agree with everything that Commissioner Hart said. My concern, Mr. Schwang, is that we've heard this 4 or 5 times during my tenure, and it always seems to come back to the same place. Nobody has the money or the will or the political guts to stop this, which would take rangers or sheriffs. I mean, again, we've been told by a lot of the people who observe the harm to the animals that no one's willing to take that on. So I think at this point in April, we should have a solution for that. And that should either come from the city, or it should come from the state, or if we need to do something like Santa Barbara did in terms of legislation to enforce access at Hollister. I mean, we just need to know what that is so that we can all move more quickly and more accurately to stop this behavior. This is decades. This is decades of this. And since other beaches do have rookeries that are not being tormented, there must be a solution because others have found it. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. And well said, Commissioner Bochco, Hart, and Almanzada. I associate myself with all of the comments. And to staff, unless I want to know in April if a full-time ranger has been hired to patrol this area every single day during the pupping season. I think without that, we're just whistling in the wind again. And I also think that now that this activity has been listed on social media and now is becoming a tourist site, right? It's going to become even more unmanageable. So it's been this evolution of the public's expectations of this site. And so I think you're hearing from the commission pretty clearly where we're leaning on this issue. And I do hope that will be reflected in the staff comments, analysis, and conditions on that permit when it comes back to us. Because otherwise, this has gone too far for too long. So thank you for that. Okay, thank you, commissioners. Any other commissioners, any other comments? Okay, seeing none on public comment. The next item is number 5.